Good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Code, Coffee, and Chat, live from Stephen Freeborn's basement. Alright. Good morning, Almighty. Good to see you. Hello, Oblivion. Hello, Blackfire. Good to see you guys. I think it was a tie there. May have been a tie today. I think the chat messages showed up with Oblivion being first, but man, it was a it was a close one. Good to see you guys. Hope you're doing well. Good day, Almighty. Good to see you. Good to see you. Let's see. I gotta go to my Bluetooth. I'm here to send enough chats to help you from getting work done. I like it, Melty. I like it. I like it. I'm not a terribly productive on-stream programmer anyway, so I don't think you're gonna have to work too hard at it. Let's see. Go live. Okay, I think we done the needful. Thank you very much for the cheers,
Tier
Voltaire.
100 first support.
You are the first support. Thank you very much. I very much appreciate that. It's totally unnecessary and way more generous than I deserve, but thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right, so I stayed up a little bit too late last night hacking on this thing. And basically, I spent most of the evening just trying to figure out how I wanted to represent the data, how I wanted to model the data in the database. I don't know if I did it correctly or if I'm going to regret what I did, but I think I'm at a point now where we can start putting some of that account data into the database. So that's exciting. So that's what I'm going to start with today. We'll see how that goes. Okay, activate focus mode. Control-Shift-P. Toggle focus mode. Alright. Oh no. I'm going to have to reinstall my GitHub themes. I'm not sure why I have to do this. This is something that ever since I switched over to NeoVim, I have to do this every so often. Uninstall and reinstall the GitHub themes. I'm not really sure why. I ran into some fucking ghost object error today in Next.js. And oh my god, can I fucking confirm that I have never ran into a more persistent issue in any of my projects before? Oh, object? Yeah, I know that guy. Yeah. It apparently had to do with my custom syntax theming for Monaco. Oh, very cool. What are you using the Monaco editor for? Yeah, that's kind of like a low-key, like most people don't know about that editor. I feel like that's pretty cool. I've always used CodeMirror, but Monaco is pretty cool. Ah, man, I'm sorry to hear that, Amanian. I hope you get to feeling better. Sorry you're a little under the weather. My oldest son is actually going to stay home from school today because I think he's got either like some sort of virus or a flu or something. I hope you feel better, man. All right. I left myself a little. This was the last. This was the last message I wrote yesterday. So I should have a nice to-do message in here that will point me in the right direction. Okay, so we have our data modeled correctly. So now we need to retrieve the item. which has the ID and the access token, retrieve the institution, retrieve the accounts, and then stick all this into our database. So instead of our exchange token async method returning just a string, I think what we want to do instead, is I think we want to return a plaid integration. That's what I'm calling it. And we'll say plaid integration dot from. Let's go ahead and create this method public static stop it copilot plaid integration from, and we'll say, okay, we need the item ID, we need the string encrypted access token. That. Hello, Duckboy. Good to see you. I use it in my SP import string encoder decoder project. I allow decoding, editing, and then recompiling. Oh, very cool. Yeah, what a great use case for it. I've liked it all the times I've used it. I've never heard of the one you mentioned though. Have you tried Monaco before? I have not. I have not used Monaco. I just know of Monaco because I have had need to use like editors before in web-based projects, and so I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole of like what are the available options, and Monaco was definitely one I looked at before, but I've never actually used it. I've always ended up on this one. This is actually the same way I found out about the Eloquent JavaScript book. Eloquent JavaScript book was because the guy who wrote this is the same guy who built CodeMirror. So this is the one I usually end up using. The one downside about CodeMirror is it can be a little bit of a learning curve, in my opinion. Like it's not necessarily just easy, straightforward example. Easy, straightforward. But it's pretty good. Let's see, let's do markdown code block highlighting. Yeah, it's not bad. It's got all the same, it's got all the features you need, you know, and you can extend it. I think they even have a way to extend it with like LSP type support too, if you want that. So it's pretty cool. This is a good book too. If you have never heard of this book, this is a really good book. If you're interested in learning JavaScript and just getting better at JavaScript, I think this book is a very interesting read. What is that book? It's called Eloquent JavaScript, and it's really good. It assumes you basically know nothing about JavaScript if you're going to read it, so it can feel a little basic. But I really enjoy the perspective that the author offers. Okay, so we have our access token, and we have our item ID. Oh wait, hold on. This is problematic. This is is it? I mean, we could inject. Huh. Okay, for now, let's change this to return. Let's instead return a tuple, which is going to be string a tuple. What did I say? A tuple? A tuple? Potato. Man, speaking of JS, I really enjoy Electron plus V. This Tari plus TurboPack project I've been working on is such a pain. I don't know if I'm doing something wrong, but it basically has to recompile every time I make changes, and it's just annoying. Well, I think that's fundamentally like a part of Rust, right? Because Tari, well, I can't talk today. Tari and TurboPack, right? So Tari is a Rust-based framework, right, um, for building desktop apps. So I'm guessing that's probably why it has to compile again and again. I've never used Electron, but I absolutely love Vite. Yeah, Vite is the best. Yeah. Yeah, I've never used Tori. We actually when we were building that notepad app in Rust, that was one of the things we looked at using was Tari, but we decided to use what was it, Iced instead because I didn't want to deal with any web tech. But yeah, the inner dev loop was painful there too though. Like having to stop and restart the application every time, especially for iterating on the UI. It was very painful. Good morning, Stefan, our our illustrious longest time channel member. How are you doing, man? You've been busy. Minix editor theme name. I use the GitHub Dark Dim theme. That's kind of the theme I've ended up using just about everywhere I go nowadays. I use it in NeoVim, I use it in VS Code, I use it in Writer, I use it in Visual Studio, I use it in Visual Studio Code. Yeah, it's kind of my go-to. So that's the one. This is their dark default, which is more like it has a little bit more contrast, right? And I prefer the dim version myself. It's a little bit more muted. Stefan with the least watch time out of everyone. No worries, dude. I get it, man. If you got a life, you gotta live your life, dude. No worries at all. I hope you're doing well. Okay, so now we have our item ID and our access token. Good deal. The front doesn't need recognizing since it was, or recompiling since it can be any usual front end stack. Huh. So I wonder why in Multi's case it's constantly recompiling. Let's see, I wonder if I ran the project in the browser for working on stuff, if I could skip that recompiling. I do notice that in Electron plus V, when I'm working in the web version, I don't seem to have to compile all the time, only when I'm rebuilding the application. Well, I would just imagine. I mean, I'm talking out of my ass on this because I've never used this before, but I just would guess that since it's Rust based, there's got to be some compilation step in there, right? At some point. Go ahead, lurk away, Stefan. We're glad you're here, man. Lurking activated. As a vibe coder, I'm also talking out of my ass, dude. It's that's okay. We're all learning, you know. We're all learning. It's fine. It's fine. All right, and now since we have the item and the access token, what we can do now is we can do institution and account, and we can do these in not in parallel, but we can basically do them at the same time concurrently. So we'll say await task dot I think when all, right? Yeah, when all. And so we'll say, okay, we'll do, instead of awaiting this, we'll say get account task. And this should be, excuse me, access token, right? And then we'll also have one that says get institution. Oh, get institution async. I wonder if there's a way. So I'm thinking I'm going to refactor this. So right now I don't like the fact that I'm having to pass the access token to the plaid service every time. So what I'm thinking is that instead of injecting the plaid service directly, I think I might go to something like a factory pattern where after we get the access token, we can just create a plaid service. Yeah, create a plaid service that takes the access token, and then that way the method signatures can just be get account, and the access token is stored within the plaid services access token. I guess the other thing I could do is I could have like a private, whenever I do the exchange token async method. I guess the other option here is I could actually store this on a field in the client, but I don't know if I like that. I don't know how I feel about that. Especially because it's a singleton. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that. But something to think about. Another to-do to add. Let me add a to-do like right here. Do not, like, let's see, do not like having to pass access token to plaid service in each method call. Good morning, Cyberlenka. Good to see you. I like to think of myself as a cool vibe coder. I like it. Yeah, I like it. I've got no problem with vibe coders, man. No problem at all. I guess I have a problem with a very specific subset of vibe coders, but it's really people that just are kind of think that because vibe coding exists that we don't need software engineers anymore. That's the only real issue I have. Let's see. The compilation watches your changes to any of the source targeter. Huh. So maybe that's something. Maybe that he's triggering that through something he's editing. Good morning, Estefanos. How are you doing? Good to see you, man. Thanks for being a member. Appreciate you. Why in the hell am I doing that? I don't even know, to be honest. Okay, that's a statement I've said many times in my life that has nothing to do with programming or coding. Why the hell am I doing that? I don't even know. Maybe the Vibe AI is touching the other files, leading to recombination. Could be. Could be. Sometimes those AIs like to do their own thing. I don't know how many of you guys have been watching the Primogen streams. We talked about this a little bit yesterday. Uh, but like, it's really, really funny to watch people work with AI. Uh, it's very enjoyable. It's a good way to spend your afternoon. let's see, we have get account, we have generate test token, and now we have the get institution async. And I'm guessing it's going to be very similar to this guy, so let's just copy paste that. Let's see, institutions get async. Unable to retrieve institution. See, institution get response does not contain a definition for accounts. So what do you contain a definition for? Institutions. So I think the question then becomes, let's see, the question then becomes going.plaid.entity.institution. I think the question now becomes, why does an access token have more than one institution? Right? Returns a JSON response containing details of all financial institutions currently supported by Plaid. Oh, that's not what I want at all. Institutions get by ID. Let's see. Okay, so I have the access token, I think, but I think I must need to provide, yeah. So let's assume we have it. We do not have it right now, but let's assume we do. I watched the whole stream. It was hilarious. Dude, I've been laughing my ass off. I've been laughing my ass off. Like, talk about if you can't watch those streams live, those streams would be a worthwhile reason to become a member of his channel to get the VODs, because they are hilarious. It was actually interesting. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of this thing. Last night they had a guy on named Zach. I think his name was Zach Jackson. Oh, I can't remember. Zach. I think it was Zach Jackson, and he was talking about.
I'd like to say something. If vibe coding gives bad vibes, then what vibes does vibe coding not give? If vibe coding wasn't just about the vibes.
This is a question that could keep philosophers busy for many a generation in the coming years. Let's see, his name was, that was Zach Johnson, Module Federation. This was interesting. I had not heard about this, but apparently there's this idea of Module Federation for front ends. And I guess you can use it for server rendered stuff too. It doesn't sound like it's a problem I would ever need solved, but apparently if you're in a large organization that uses micro front end architecture, this is a important thing that you can solve. But basically it allows you to essentially have like your application distributed. It doesn't even have to be in the same repo, right? You could have multiple pieces of your application distributed across repositories, but they can basically behave like when you're doing development and deployment. They basically can behave as if they're one monolithic app, which I thought was really, really cool. So if you are somebody who's working with micro front ends, this might be a pretty cool thing to go read about. It seems like it's only a problem if you work at a really big company, but I hadn't heard about this. So modulefederation.io is kind of like their hub for information. But it was very interesting listening to him talk about it on the Primeagen stream yesterday. What the fuck is a micro front end? The idea behind micro front ends is basically the same thing behind microservices on the back end. It's kind of this architectural pattern that helps teams divvy up, right, pieces of a front end application so that you could have one team that owns like the header bar, right? That may have like a lot of global state that needs to be dealt with, and maybe another team owns the shopping cart experience, and another team owns the like on Netflix, another team owns the list of movies, right? Like so you basically can kind of separate your front end app up into these distinct separate parts. Obviously, the problem whenever you do that is now you have all these organizational issues, right? Like it makes sense because then now you have these three teams that own three different pieces of your application, and in order to deploy the application as one complete unit, you're now taking a dependency on each other. So if somebody's ready to go with a new header design, but you're not ready with the shopping cart feature you're working on, and everything needs to, you know what I mean? Like you sort of end up in this organizational coordination nightmare, which I've never experienced firsthand, but I can conjure it up. So what this is aiming to do is allow you to kind of decouple from one another, right? So that those teams can ship at whatever speed they need to ship at, and then you basically can let the main application, the consuming application, can dictate like I want this version of the header, or I want this version of the shopping cart, or that's what module federation is designed to solve for you, which is pretty cool, I think. Good morning, Danny. Good morning, Arvin. Good to see you. How are you doing? Dude, LLMs suck at everything. I can't stand my AIs. I mean, the thing is though, LLMs are this really weird experience where like you work with them and they feel magical, and then you work with them and they don't feel magical, and then they feel magical, and then they don't. It's kind of like this roller coaster of emotions. That's funny. I literally do that with my projects, like for every single function page, etc., in separate files. It makes devs so much easier on my end. I wonder if this is something I could utilize. I don't know if it would be much benefit to utilize if you don't have separate, like if pieces of your application aren't in separate packages, right, or separate, right? Like if you don't have two distinctly, or maybe you have two or three distinctly different pieces of your application, um, that are then composed together, it's probably not super helpful. But if again, like if you're part of a large organization like Netflix or ByteDance, or I don't know, I'm sure there's more than a handful of people using this, right? Like I'm sure there's quite a few big companies that are, because I think module federation was a reaction to the micro front end trend, or it was a response to problems introduced by the micro front end trend. So I think micro front ends came first, and then module federation was something that was a problem that needed solved in response to that. So I don't know how helpful it would be for like single projects, but it's a cool problem to learn about and cool solution to learn about. Still playing with Z3, going to play with Java or Spring later today. Nice, nice. Well, that's good to hear. What am I doing? I am currently talking about module federation, which was something I learned about yesterday on the Primogen stream, which I thought, hey, I'll tell you guys about it too. But then the real work that I'm trying to get done is working on that financial application or personal finance application. And I'm trying basically to get to a point where I can store account data in the database and go from there. That's what I'm working on at the moment. So we don't have, let's see, get institution, async. So we need not just the access token, but we also need the institution ID, which means then this can just become a single. Don't need it to be a list anymore. However, we do have a problem. We do have a problem here in that the only place the institution ID is really identified is after we exchange for the access token. So I think we're going to have to return another item out of here. Dot. Oh, actually, you know what? We're going to have to make a couple calls. Yeah. So we're going to have to make another call. So instead, in order to also get the institution, we have to do public async task going dot plaid dot entity dot item. And this is going to be get item async. There's definitely going to be some refactoring in my future, that's for sure. Is it in C#? My video res is low. I cannot see it. Yeah, it's in C#. Yep. We're doing it. We're doing the back end in C#, and then we'll do the front end probably in TypeScript. And I think we're going to use, I'm pretty sure we decided on using solid.js for the front end because I had never used solid.js before. So we'll see how that goes. It might go poorly. It might go well. Who knows? No, what platform is this? Do you mean like, is this like what language? Nona? I'm currently working in C#, .NET, and my editor is NeoVim. That might cover all the bases there on what you're asking. Or maybe you're asking like what I'm using to get the financial data. That's an API called plaid. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll do string item ID. And this will be item get async. Oh, do you not need the item? Oh, you don't need it. Even better. Item with consent fields to going plaid.entity.item. They got a little bit of composition in their types here. Item with consent fields. I like it. Unable to retrieve item. The editor? Yes, I'm using NeoVim is what I'm using. Solid.js enjoyer? I don't know. I've never used Solid.js. I think Bob Knoll was the one that had recommended we give it a try. I don't know. I just always hate to like do a project and not use it as an excuse to try something new, you know? Especially because like none of my projects are like, they're not going to probably be large, heavily used projects. So it's like, why not just make sure I use them as excuses to get better? Bob was mentioned. Good morning, Bob. Good to see you. Hello, Ryan. Good to see you as well. Hope you're doing well, man. Good to see you guys. Thank you both for being members. Appreciate you. Okay, I think that'll work. We have institution ID, access token. So let's go back to our handler. And so now what we'll do is we'll say get account task and get item task. There's no argument that corresponds. Oh, yeah. We don't need that argument. Then we can go back up here. And then these can be done concurrently. So we can say account task and get item task. And then we can do var equals get account result. Or actually we could just do account This really needs to be renamed. Get account async. And this will be item. Oh, I can't do structure like that. I'm not in JavaScript. I'm not in JavaScript. So we need I guess we have to do this by index, huh? Oh no, this just returns. Oh, okay. So this really should just be awaited. And then this should be, let's do get item. I don't want to say this. I guess item. Account. It looks weird because it's like, it doesn't really read correctly. Await task when all accounts, when all item. This doesn't look right. And then here, okay, we can destruct, that's fine. There we go. And then after we get those, we can now go and get the institution. That was what that was all about, was getting the institution. So now we can say institution plaid.get institution async. And we can pass in the item.institution. Okay, see, that's what I thought. So why? Creates a task that will complete when all the supplied tasks have completed. So how do I get the results of those tasks? Do I not know how to use task.WhenAll? Must be so. Task.WhenAll.net. So you talked my man into Solid.js, huh? Yeah, I think he didn't really have to talk me into it much though. He just suggested it and I was like, sure, sounds great. I like the guy who wrote Solid.js, Ryan Carnito. Carnito, I think is how you say his name. I've watched a bunch of interviews with him. Await the completion of all the tasks concurrently. So how do we... I read only span task when all. A task that represents the completion of all supplied tasks. So how do I get out the results from it? That's what I'm trying to ask. So we have a list of tasks. T, await T. Let's see. I'm using task.WhenAll in C#. How do I get the results of the awaited tasks? I mean, this is probably a kind of a early optimism, like probably don't have to. Results will be an int containing 1, 2. Okay. The order of the results in the array matches the order of the task listed, or the order of the tasks passed to WhenAll, not the order in which they completed. That's fine. When tasks return different types, if your tasks return different types, which mine do, returns a generic task. It cannot create a single array result because the types do not match. That makes sense. I think that's what's tripping me up. Oh, we just have to access it on the result object. Accessing .result is generally discouraged in synchronous code because it blocks the thread. However, it's perfectly safe here because you've already waited. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I don't want to use WhenAll. Seems unnecessarily complex. But it does feel like the right thing to do. So let's go back to what we had. Get accounts task. Get item task. Hold on one second. I gotta blow my nose real quick. Good morning, Bradley. Good to see you. How are things down under? What? See you, Arvin. Have a good one. See you, Duck Boy. Appreciate you hanging out. Did I check out the Zoom to Mouse plugin? So I did check it out, Duck Boy, but the thing is I forgot to tell you, or not Duck Boy, Melty. The thing I forgot to tell you is I don't use OBS anymore. I use Meld Studio, so it wasn't super helpful. Like, it was interesting to look at. I looked at the Lua script code, but it's not something I can use today with my current setup. So alas, I remain stuck in vertical streaming hell. Let's see, WhenAll can be a nice perf improvement if async calls don't rely on each other. Yeah, that's my goal here. It's just a little funky to work with it because now I have to do this. Var account equals get account task.result. Var item equals get item task.result, which I kind of hate. Yes, I know. It does synchronously block. But it doesn't synchronously block right now because we've already awaited. But the analyzer must not be able to figure that out. Okay, fuck it. We're just gonna do this sequentially. Concurrency. Who needs concurrency? Let's see. We'll just say accounts. And let's do item. And then institution does depend on item, so that has to come next, which is going to be access token and then item dot institution ID. Oh, actually, hold on. This already has, I think this already has what I need on it. Institution ID and institution name. I think those are the only two things I'm storing right now. Let's see. Hold on, why are you complaining? Oh. Guess this is what happens when you want to name things the same as other things. Fix typo? No. No, I want to use an ambiguous alias. There we go. There we go. Okay, what was I doing? I lost the plot. Oh, I was trying to see what information I need for the institution. So the institution just right now has a name, and then it has metadata associated with it. That metadata has, or in this case, is plaid metadata. So a plaid account has the plaid account ID, and it has the name. So I think both of those pieces of information live on the item. So I don't need to make another call. So we don't need this, actually. Or at least we don't need it right now. It's possible we might need it in the future, but we don't need it right now. So let's delete this guy. Yeah, let's delete that guy. Let's go back up here. Why are you unhappy? Did I just do something to destroy my... I don't understand. This guy was happy just a second ago. I don't understand why he's mad now. When in doubt, just restart it. Vibe coding is also a nice way to experiment. For sure, yeah, I could definitely see that. Especially if you're working with something you never worked with before. Yeah, I could see vibe coding being helpful to kind of explore, like, what does this API do? What's available? The one thing I always find myself, though, with... oh, it's happy again. The one thing I always find myself doing with LLMs, though, is just constantly second guessing what they're telling me. You know? I was like, I don't know, is that true? So we have accounts, we have item, and now we have what we need to construct the stuff we're going to put in our database. So the first thing we're going to put in our database is going to be the integration. So we need to say integration equals plaid integration dot from, and then we're also going to need the institution like that. And then the question becomes, how do I want to represent that? And then we'll also need var. Okay, let's invert this. Let's do that there. Let's do this here. And then let's do for each var count in accounts, right? Do something like this. Oh no, we're gonna want to create the institution first, because then we'll add the account to the institution, and we'll also add the balance to each account. And then the last thing we'll do is we'll save the changes. So we'll say await db context.save changes async. Now we just need to implement this. So institution does not have a method. So what do we want to do? So I think what we'd like to do is we'd like to say public static institution and then we are going to return, so we definitely need the name, right? And then the next thing we need is an optional, it's really optional, but we'll say in this case we want the institution metadata. And then we will return, so this needs to have a string name. Like this. That. And then this will be new name, and then we'll set the metadata here if given it. Like that. Yeah, like that. Now, the metadata is actually going to come from the outside world as well. So this is where we want to say var institution metadata equals plaid institution. And this doesn't exist either. Oh, shoot. Oh, no, hold on. Hold on. Yeah, it has it. Okay, I was just getting ready to like fall apart because the name wasn't there. Okay, and then this will be the institution metadata, like this. There's probably going to be a nice way to refactor this all so this doesn't have to be so much done by hand, I think, or at least not so explicitly, but we're just going to start with doing it very explicitly. So generate the method, go to the definition. Okay, I can't do that, that's fine. So you're going to take, we need string ID, we need string name, and then these should pretty much always be required. I don't know why I keep typing these parameters with Pascal case. Can't help myself, I guess. And then name equals name. Then we'll do return, new, ID, name, that. Oh. And this really should be concrete. So plaid institution. And now, for the most part, institution name. No, sorry, institution ID. This is the problem when you have types that are all the same type and the order matters. Why is this complaining? Possible null reference argument for parameter ID. Why would these be null? Why? Why? Por qué? Por qué? Put a little Primogen on it. Big Blue Heron, well met. How's the programming? It's going okay. Yeah, we're trying to stumble our way through figuring all the nitty gritty details of how I want to represent this plaid data in my application. I'm trying to represent it in my application in a way that makes it agnostic to the, or at least not agnostic, but so that in the future, if I decide I want to use some different provider of the financial data, that it makes it relatively easy to do that, which has introduced, I think, unneeded complexity, but hopefully it'll pay off in the future. Take, what is it? IDE for C#? I don't know it. This is NeoVim. So it's not necessarily an IDE for C#. You can use it to write code in just about any language. I'm just using it to write C# code at the moment. Let's see, I've been able to exclude a library from projects after getting an LLM to try things out and deducing I don't like it. That seems like a really cool way to use an LLM. Yeah, to kind of like basically help you do research to figure out if you like a dependency or don't like a dependency. All LLMs gaslight to save tokens.
I code by inputting the electrical signals directly into the CPU.
That's a real programmer right there. that's a real coder. That's a real trad coder over there. Steven, this year AOC OCaml? I don't know, man. I was saying the other day that we should do AOC in Java, but a lot of people didn't like that idea. Harvin, only losers vibe code. Chad's write shit code and struggle with debugging until they go mad. Miss up. What you coding is that C++? I'm also trying to make a website, a boat booking website, and mostly vibe code. Vibe code away, missed. No, this is not C++. It's C#. But it is a C-like language, so I think it probably is why maybe you've mistaken it for that. Let's see. I'm currently making a personal finance app is what I'm working on. Steven, when OCaml? Steven must write OCaml. Why have we decided OCaml is a thing? Hello, the Black Elephant. Sorry I missed your entrance into the chat. If you're already gone, sorry. I missed you. Aren't you just parsing JSON by hand right now? Why not use a JSON parser? Oh, AOC with Lisp? No. No, Ryan. No. Don't you put that evil on me, Ricky Bobby. I'm just kidding. I'm really open to learning any programming language, but there's just only so much time in the day, so I kind of have to prioritize what I learn. Maybe not Java, but something based on the JVM. That'd be interesting. Yeah, that'd be interesting. Let's see, you already programmed in C#. Go program something interesting like OCaml. But I like C#. I like it. Oh, Ryan, back to your question about the JSON. I'm actually not handling the JSON parsing myself. I'm using a third-party library called going.plaid. That's the this right here, this plaid service. This plaid service is basically a wrapper for the plaid client, and the Plaid client comes from that SDK. So they've basically done all the heavy lifting of figuring out like what are all the data structures and types, and they've written all the JSON serializers to deal with all that for me. So in this case, I shouldn't have to worry about any of that right now. What I'm really doing now in my endpoint, which this code probably won't stay in my endpoint, but what I'm doing right now in this handler logic is I'm basically working through like how I translate the types from Plaid into the types that I actually want to persist into the database is what I'm working through at the moment. Okay, so I think if it's me, I think that if institution ID and institution name are not there, then this should throw. And I wonder if we look at, I wonder if there's a better, more for sure way to do this. Like, for example, if I do, let's do var institution. I cannot spell the word institution. Like, I'm just going to give up on it. I've misspelled it 30 times in the last 24 hours. So if I do institutions get by ID or get by ID async like this, then this is theoretically an institution. And an institution should have a name, right? Oh, it's not going to give me that completion. Let's see, new. And this is a mad because we're not doing that. So then the institution has a, that's not, that looks weird. Okay, so if I actually fetch the institution itself, then this guarantees that there's an ID and there's a name. But if I fetch it through the item, huh. Okay, I'm gonna roll the dice. I'm gonna roll the dice here. So I'm gonna say this thing will take nullable parameters. I know this is stupid. But and then if it is null, then I'll throw. So if it is null, we'll throw. Sure, give me a null. I'm gonna throw it right back at you. This is one of the frustrating things because you would think if you declared this as if you declared this as non-null, you'd still really probably have to do this anyways, right? Because somebody could come along and do something like this, right? Like that nullability feature is really only as good as the programmer who is calling your code, because somebody could always come in and be like, oh, you're asserting this should be non-null? Well, it's non-null now, you know? Just throw a bang operator in front of it. And let's do the same thing here, I guess, then, where we'll say this can be null, and if it is null, we'll throw. Actually, we should throw in both cases. This is just good defensive programming. Metadata, like that. Okay, so we have institution metadata, we have our institution. Now to our institution, we can start adding accounts, right? So what we want to do is we want to say var account equals account.from. I mean, ideally, we'd just be able to pass in a plaid, like ideally we'd just be able to pass this in. But the thing is, the thing we don't want to do is we don't want to add a method here. We don't want to add a method here like this that then has a reference to plaid.going.entity account, right? Because the whole idea of clean architecture is to try to keep this core project. The core project shouldn't know anything really about these outside dependencies. So I think for now what I'll do is I will just say string name and then account metadata like that. Yeah, like this. This looks good. I think this looks good. And then we'll just string name. Return new name, and then we'll set the metadata here equals metadata that. So I'll do the same thing here. This is definitely a heavy operation that we're doing here. So then we need var account metadata equals plaid account.from. And the reason why, okay, so this may not make any sense to anybody but me, but the reason why I separated the, so basically I separated the data that's specific to my application, I put into one model, and then the data that's specific to the plaid API that I want to keep in my database, I put into a different model. And that the reason I did that was because I didn't want to store plaid data directly on the account object, because there might be a time in the future where I decide plaid is too expensive and I want to migrate away from their service. And so I don't want the account data that's stored in the main account table to be polluted with plaid specific information. So that's the reason why that is like that. And I don't even know if that's a good idea, but it's where I landed last night at 11 p.m. at night when I was trying to figure all this out. Let's see. I feel like you need a mapper from the library type to something you own even before you consider the object you actually persist. Yes, a mapper would be nice. Yeah, right? Because right now I'm essentially doing all that by hand. Yeah, a mapper would be nice. But I think I'm okay with it right now at this point, because this is really the majority of the domain. Like the only other thing that should be added to this is transactions. Like, but for the most part, like we're gonna have our user objects, we're gonna have our accounts, we're gonna have our balances, and our institutions. And the only other thing that's missing is transactions, which we haven't got to yet, but we will eventually. So this is really the majority of it. So I don't know if it makes sense to necessarily bring in a whole mapping solution when I can just use like constructors and hand roll the mapping. There's probably value there, but I think for now I'm okay with just doing this by hand. No, the AI is greater than humans. Okay, that's definitely that's definitely one take. Let's see. No, the AI do better coding than humans, bro. Just use AI. Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying. Like, I'm not necessarily disagreeing. Like, AI could probably generate the code that I'm writing here much faster. So I totally understand what you're saying. However, the thing that wouldn't give me is it wouldn't give me the practice of like thinking through this particular problem and how I would solve it. So in the future, if I was forced by my employer to use AI to solve a similar problem, if I didn't sit here and think through it and work through it, I might not have the right language or the right intuition to be able to tell the AI like what I want to do or what I want to accomplish or how I think it should be laid out. So again, I'm kind of more concerned less with like speed and how quickly I can move, and more concerned with just the act and the process of coding in order to try to make me better at solving problems with code. Um, I also am doing this in my free time. Like it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm just coding for fun. So I'm trying to optimize also for like enjoyment of what I enjoy doing. And I don't really enjoy coding through AI. It's kind of takes a lot of the fun out of it. Like I think if you guys told me that if you guys told me tomorrow that we only want to watch you stream with agentic coding, I would probably stop streaming because I don't. I mean, I may not stop streaming, but like I would be like, well, then guys probably want to stop watching my channel because I just don't enjoy it. It's very boring to me. I'd rather, I think, go and lift weights instead of doing that. So I'm not trying to like shoot down your opinion. It's just I don't. In my case, I don't think it's applicable to me. But that's the wonderful thing about life. We can have difference of opinions, you know. Bradley, just make an object to pass the method and make the properties required. I think that's a good idea. Yeah, that's another way to handle it for sure. Blackfire, I'm going to try and make a basic text editor in C++. That sounds fun. Let's see, Lisp will honestly make you a better programmer. It makes you think about how language works because everything you write is a data structure. You're not the first person that said that. Yeah, you're not the first person that said that for sure. Sorry, I kind of fell behind on the chat. Let's see, nah, I mean just static class that has extension methods on type you're mapping from to your own type. Yes, that's Bradley. So that's what I think I'm going to end up doing. What you just described, the static class that has extension methods on the type you're mapping from to the type to your own type. That's the approach I think I will end up taking to make it much more elegant. Yeah, that's what I'm going to end up doing. Almighty, use a lot of nuance with AI coding for you. Yeah, I think it's just nuance and maybe in my case enjoyment, and then also I just don't know if I just wake up and spend 3 hours coding with AI, I'm not sure I'm getting the reps that I think I need to get better. I mean, there might be a point where I decide, oh, okay, I feel confident enough in my skills where I feel like I can use AI without second guessing that like AI is making up for me. But I think right now, whenever I use AI for too long, I start to wonder like, can I actually solve this problem, or did AI just solve the problem? Right? Like if someone stood me up in front of a whiteboard and asked me to do this, could I do this, or am I only able to do this because I have AI helping me? It kind of reminds me like in powerlifting, you typically in powerlifting you have two different you're kind of segmented. You have people who are in the geared category and people who are in the non-geared category. And the reason they do that is because you can fundamentally do different things when you're geared than when you're not geared. And so I kind of feel like in some ways, like I don't know how many of you guys are real big into fitness and stuff, but like if you've ever seen someone bench press with like with a bench press shirt, which basically adds all this like tension and spring uh, to your shoulders and your chest. And people who do like really, really heavy bench press will use these shirts in order to be able to press more weight. I mean, they're still really strong individuals, but they can do more with this particular shirt on. And so LLMs sometimes feel a lot like that to me, where like, am I able to bench press this much weight because I'm actually that strong, or is it because I have this additional piece of gear? And so that's where I'm at. I'm not saying what I'm feeling is right or wrong. I'm just saying that's how I've been feeling over the last few weeks, and so that's why I've kind of reduced. I haven't reduced my usage of AI, but I'm no longer using AI a lot to actually generate the code. Hi, I'm a mechanical engineer. I want to become a full stack robotics engineer. Please tell me right now. I know Python up to OOBS. What next? What's OOBS? I'm not Night Sky Music. I don't know what OOBS is. Is that like object oriented basic syntax or something? What does that stand for? But if you're a mechanical engineer, you can definitely become I think you could probably definitely become a full stack robotics engineer. I mean, I feel like the part that makes robotics hard is more the like actual physics and engineering knowledge you need than necessarily the software side of things. So I mean that's talking from someone who doesn't do robotics engineering. Like I'm just looking at it from a layman's perspective. I don't know what you would need to do though beyond the Python knowledge you have to enter that field though, man. I'm sorry, I don't have any helpful advice because it's just not my wheelhouse. I mostly build web stuff and tinker with random technologies that I think look interesting. Although I think if I had a choice, like if tomorrow AI takes all crud monkey jobs, but I still wanted to stay in technology, I think robotics would be a really cool field to try to get into. See, I disagree. AI is not a better coder, but it is a faster typer with better general knowledge, but no intuition. Yeah, it's kind of an interesting. That intuition piece is interesting, right? Like how do you as a human develop the ability to guide, review, and judge an LLM, whether an LLM is making the right choice or the right, like that's one thing. If you're watching the Primeagen streams, it's kind of interesting because you have these very seasoned programmers that are using AI, and then they're looking at what the AI is generating, and you hear them in their language. They're like, "Well, that's not how I would have done it. This doesn't seem right. This is going to break down over time," and they're able to kind of offer well-meaning direction and correction. But the only reason they're able to do that is because they spent a lot of time solving and implementing problems themselves. So it's kind of this catch-22 where it's like the people who seem to be the most effective at using a LLMs for like agentic coding tend to be people who spent a lot of time writing code themselves. So what happens to the people who though don't get the opportunity to write code themselves? Do they still develop that same level of intuition? I don't know, and that's where I'm at. But you make a great point, Oblivion. Night Sky Music, bro, please reply. I think I replied, man. Sorry, I'm kind of fall behind on the chat. I'm sorry. I'm trying to catch up. Oof into, hey man, what's up? Nothing. Yeah, we're just enjoying our morning, drinking coffee, chatting, working on some code. Let's see. Arvin used the C word. He is racist. Ban him. Oh, did Arvin say something? Oh, I'm sorry. Clankers. Is clankers racist? Is that a bad word? Did I just say a bad word, or is this because we're talking about robots? Is this a joke? I'm I'm sorry. I'm not plugged into all the current things that are happening in the world. You got to remember, I'm a 32-year-old dad. Okay, so I'm not totally up on what's happening. Hard R. Humans are better at formal language than clankers that just facts. We are all. I guess I probably shouldn't say that word until I know what it means. We all are sentient beings. Stop. Oh, okay. This is a joke. I was like, what are we? Steven, I like the way you say actually. It sounds so actually. Sometimes I do. My wife makes fun of the way I say remember sometimes. Sometimes I shorten remember to member. So yeah, sometimes I don't talk right, but you gotta. I'm from Southwest Missouri. Okay, I'm doing pretty good from a kid that grew up in Southwest Missouri. Yes, sir. Okay. AIs are sentient. I don't. I don't think I agree with that. I don't think I agree that AIs are sentient. My favorite thing about AI is when it suggests you use a built-in function that doesn't exist. Yes, that, and it's also the most frustrating, right? Because it kind of leads you on a wild goose chase because you think, well, there must be something wrong with what I'm doing because this.
Kelsey says I am also from Southwest Missouri, and I don't have those issues, bro.
Good, good morning, honey. Okay, so sometimes I just talk funny. uh, let's see, people against AI are like people in the past when they refuse to use fridges because it's artificial ice, refuse to use printers. Well, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I think that what you're basically describing is like people who don't want to use AI are basically Luddites. But I wouldn't describe myself as someone who's against AI. I'm just trying to use AI in an intentional way that benefits me more than it benefits the people I work for or the shareholders. I guess is, I'm trying to use AI in a way that makes me better, not necessarily just to use AI because people are telling us we should use AI. I'm trying to use AI in ways that actually adds value to me. Um, so I'm not really I wouldn't say I'm trying to act like a Luddite about artificial intelligence. I'm just trying to use the technology in the best way it suits me, which in my opinion is how it should work. I don't serve at the pleasure of artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence serves at my pleasure. I think if you invert that, then yeah, you're misguided. Good morning, Shiv. Good to see you. Hello, Kurtz. I think both newbies and senior LLMs cause a similar effect to TikTok in slowly brain rotting critical thinking away. Yeah, I mean, I I don't disagree with that, Oblivion, at all. I think some people would argue that LLMs force you to think more, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's necessarily the case in all cases. It's derogatory to robots, but not an actual slur. Oh, okay. So we're personifying robots now. Now you can be derogatory towards a robot. Well, this is my prediction is that when robots do come to be a thing in everyday life, there will be people who start like uh, rights for robots. There will be like a union for robots. So, some people out there will imbue robots with more than what they are. Just what people do. We can't all be perfect like Mrs. Freeborn. Well, Mrs. Freeborn is pretty close to perfect. She's about as close as you can get. At least for me. So he got laid off last year. CEO decided to use AI. It's failing horribly. Currently filling out applications and doing interviews. These companies have no clue what what they want. Well, first off, man, I'm really sorry to hear that you got laid off. And I do hope that I hear that the interview and the application process out there is kind of brutal, particularly for engineers at the moment. So I hope it's going well for you, man. I would agree. Yes, I would agree. The problem right now is that there's a lot of people who are shouting AI, 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 AI because that's what they think they're supposed to be doing, right? Not because they have real deep technical knowledge around the topic or have really a strategic vision of what to do with the technology. I mean, we just had someone spend $70 million on AI.com and then the website crashed. So I think yeah, I think we got a long way to go. I mean, we had Anthropic. Anthropic spent how many millions of dollars on the bun runtime, right? Like, well, why couldn't Claude Opus 4.5 just vibe code their own version of that runtime? Why did they need to spend millions of dollars if they could have just lit up a bunch of agents in their cloud infra and built it? So yeah, there's a bubble here. There is a bubble here. 100% there's a bubble here. And the crypto bros entering the chat has me more convinced than ever that there's a bubble here. There's real technology, but there's also, just like with the internet, there's a lot of hand waving that's happening. I'm anti-clankers, but Gemini and Claude are my base. So no robots, but give you all the LLMs. I like it. I've been through multiple 5+ round interviews, and suddenly the budget gets cut and causes hiring freeze. That sucks, man. I'm really sorry you're going through that. If there's not, I don't really have any influence over hiring, and I don't have very deep connections in software in general, so I can't really vouch for you. I would, if I could, I would point you in the right direction, but all I have to offer is like good vibes, and well wishes. And I can commiserate with you that looking for a job really sucks, but I hope you find a good place. I hope you find some place that treats you right and does well for you. 5+ round interviews is crazy. It really is. It's wholly unnecessary, right? It almost seems like 5+ rounds of interviews is more about them finding a reason not to hire you than looking for a reason to hire you, in my opinion. They're going to make all our brains turn to mush. Yeah. I mean, the thing is, like, in order to avoid giving up your critical thinking to a large language model, you have to be really intentional. And I don't know about you guys, but most people aren't very intentional. They just kind of let momentum carry them wherever they want to go. And when you use an LLM, the momentum kind of carries you towards just letting the LLM do all the thinking. I just think it's funny he blames being from Southwest Missouri when they can't be the reason. It was a joke. It was a joke. Not everyone from Southwest Missouri can't speak correctly. Oof, and thanks. Of course, man. Yeah, of course. Uncle Pee Wee, good morning. Good to see you. What's up? Nothing. We've been chatting a lot the last 30 minutes or so. I was working on the personal finance app thing. Still kind of sorting through how to connect accounts on the back end. But yeah, we're having a good morning. I'm actually out of coffee, so I actually need to go and get a second cup of coffee before the end of the stream. Nothing. Elon Scum says he wants to put data centers in space, but that's impossible. Wow, Uncle Pee Wee just hit another stream streak. Dude, that's nuts. Thanks for being so consistent being here, Uncle Pee Wee. That's very, very kind of you, man. Let's see. Put data centers in space, but that's impossible. But he is Elon. People believing anything he says. Everyone talks about AI bubble, but no one talks about space X bubble. I don't know if I don't think you can call SpaceX itself a bubble, right? Because it's just a single company. But yeah, data centers in space seems like a difficult challenge. He seems pretty confident. I think he said like he'd have in the next like 24 months or something, within like 2 years. He made some prediction about that. Seems like a difficult problem. Seems like a pretty cool thing to do, but seems like a very difficult problem. I thought it was most of Missouri. I swear, Uncle Pee Wee, some of us Midwesterners can speak correctly. I swear. Let's see. I find LLMs great for config issues, but generating code, hell nah. That's fair. Yeah, that's totally fair. I think LLMs have their time and place in everyone's workflow. And that's why I still go back to like large language models and agentic tools. That's why I really think they still should be viewed as tools, and I think it should be left up to us as the engineers or the domain experts to decide for ourselves how we want to incorporate those into our workflow. And whether that's done on an individual level or a team level, that's neither here nor there. But I just don't think like arbitrarily saying that like now we can replace entire swaths of professions with agentic AI is just, I think it's disingenuous. It makes for good marketing, it makes for good headlines, it makes for good stories for shareholders, but it's not true. It's just not true. Arvin, to be honest, I use LLMs in areas I don't know about and don't plan to learn about. A few months back, debug a dead system with Gemini's help with QEMU static, some obscure shit that I don't plan to learn. I think that's valid. Like that's what I see a lot of people doing, right? Is like, how can I use LLMs to accomplish things that I don't really care about developing an expertise in? I think that's a really great use for LLMs. I think that's why vibe coding, right? Like vibe coding is taken off for people who maybe 5 years ago would have turned to a no code or low code platform. And so there are people who don't really have any interest in developing an expertise in software, but they do want to be able to build apps, right? So like I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the problem where it goes too far is when you sort of get drunk with incompetence because you think that because you it's like building a deck at your house and then thinking you can now become a contractor, right? Or painting your home and then thinking you can now be a professional painter, right? It's that sort of danger zone that people walk themselves into right now with AI that I'm like, look, I get it. LLMs can help you do things that you otherwise wouldn't have been able to do, but that doesn't mean that it negates the value of people who have a deep expertise in that area. I go out of my way to avoid AI. I disable Gemini, Copilot, and whatever Samsung uses, blocked Beta, Grok. I will never use GPT or Claude, and that's perfectly fine, man. I don't think anybody's choice of how much they use AI. I think it should be left up to the individual, right? You use it as much as you want. Obviously, if someone's paying your salary and they say like you must use AI, then you're kind of stuck. But like, yeah, you should be as an individual should get to decide how much you want it to be in your life. No, it's impossible, man. Even Sam Altman mocked him recently. Nice. Well, I don't really put much stock in what Sam Altman mocks because that guy's as much as a snake, I think, as it. Let me back up. I don't know. Sam Altman might be a very kind husband and a very kind friend and a very generous father, and he might be a perfectly fine person in his personal life. But I think Sam Altman in his business life is a snake. I wouldn't. It's like what Warren Buffett said. You can't make a good deal with a bad person. I I I don't I don't know if I'd want to be Sam Altman's business partner. So I don't put too much stock in what Sam Altman mocks. But yeah, it seems like a very hard problem. That's for sure. I'm not going to say something's impossible, but uh, it seems like a very hard problem. Seems like it would take a lot longer than 9 to 24 months to solve. Just physically talking, getting rid of heat and space is really, really hard. So I just don't see it feasible. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't know what it would take to solve that problem, but I'm also not. I don't have the pedigree. Like the Jet Propulsion Lab wouldn't hire me to solve issues, so I probably can't solve that one. But I do believe like people like that's what scientists and engineers do, right? They solve difficult problems. So I don't want to say it's impossible. You get it? Like I don't think a lot of people thought you could make a reusable rocket, right? Somehow a bunch of scientists and engineers figured that out. Wasn't Elon, but but you bring enough human brain power together, crazy shit can happen. See, my gateway to LLMs was I love this a gateway drug to LLM hatred. My gateway to LLMs was hating the idea of learning and writing nasty JavaScript, so I got the AI to write it instead. I love that. You do not think they have the space for it. You're talking to Uncle Pee-wee. I'll look at them and explain how stupid using AI is. Well, I have respect for you, Ryan. Me, I'm just I'm a company man. I need that paycheck. Good morning, Kurt. Good to see you, dude. He's evil. You mean Sam Altman is evil? Good morning, Kurt. Is that who you're talking about? I don't. I hate to demonize the person. Because I don't know him as a person, but I just watch from afar like how he operates his business and stuff, and I think I would probably think twice about working for him, or partnering with him. But that's just that's just my perception, just my opinion. Well, that's pretty cool, Arvin, that you were able to figure all that out with Gemini's help. Very cool. Let's see. I'm saying I'm not denying the value LLMs bring, but where and how they are used / leveraged by the user operator. Yeah, yeah. I think Arvin, I think I'm in that camp. Exactly what you described. I'm not. I'm never going to argue that LLMs are probably faster at generating code or do a reasonably good job at implementing like basic common things. I'm not gonna. I would, yeah, or like helping you with writing or helping you with brainstorming. Yeah, like there is value to the technology, but I'm with you. The where and the how and the what of it is the thing that I think I'm currently thinking a lot about. They've been pushing AI at work, and I've successfully made them pivot to in-house developed automation tools. Nice, nice. Yeah, because I think we talked about this once before, didn't we, Ryan? Where I think a lot of people right now think that like AI is the answer, but really when you start talking to folks, it's not that they want AI, it's that they want things to be automated. Not only do they want things to be automated, but they want them to be very consistent and dependable, which is which is kind of the opposite of what you get when you try to shove AI into a solution. So that's awesome that you've been able to kind of sell them on the right thing and not the the sexy thing. One of his tech leads was found dead in his apartment. Evil. Wait, do dash.
I'd like to say something.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. Also, ring that notification button to stay updated when we go live. Not sponsored by Steven.
Thank you, Uncle Pee Wee, for doing my job. That's the stuff I'm supposed to say. Yeah, Kirk, I think you're talking about that one researcher, right? That like I think they attribute it to him doing it himself, but then there was some like weird circumstances around it, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I don't honestly know all the details or facts of the case. I just hate using the word like I just hate calling someone evil when I don't really know them, right? Like as an individual. It's not what you feel about Sam, but he is the CEO of the largest, best AI in market. If he laughs at the idea that supposedly will reduce the cost of running AI, he knows more than we know. I don't I don't really buy into that idea that just because he is the CEO of OpenAI that he knows more than we know. I mean, he might have more insider knowledge, but I don't think that necessarily means that he knows more than we know. I mean, I think a lot of this stuff you can just look at from like a first principles perspective and get reasonably close to the true answer, right? Like you can you can very easily look at all the
Uncle Pee Wee is telling you to drink some coffee.
I need to go get coffee because I ran out. So I'll go do that now. But yeah, like I think like you can very reasonably look at OpenAI's commitments or look at all the data centers that were just canceled. I think there was like 25 data centers that was just canceled in the last month and a half or something, last 2 months. Like a lot of the things that they said they're going to do, they're not going to do, and you don't need to have insider knowledge to figure that out. Space data centers is just scam and will not become reality, not even in the next 10 years. I think that's a completely valid prediction. I just didn't. I was just saying like I don't want to say it's impossible. That's all. He's a salesman. He is a salesman, and we need salesmen. You know, you need salespeople. Salespeople want to do the stuff we don't want to do, and we want to do the things that they don't want to do. So you need salespeople, but sometimes. Sometimes salespeople like to.
Kelsey says now that's a Midwest thing. I need to go, but keeps talking.
I'm not. I want to make sure I don't ignore folks. But I am gonna go and get coffee right now, and then I'll be right back. We were just having a good conversation. I didn't want to interrupt it. If you've been hanging out here and you're gonna leave because I'm gonna go upstairs and get coffee, no worries. I get it. I wouldn't want to stare at an empty chair either.
Voltaire's puppet is telling you to drink some coffee.
I'm going. But so if you're gonna leave because I'm leaving, I get it. If if you're not going to leave, this might be a good time for you to go fill up your cup too. So I'll be right back.
I'd like to say something.
Hi, chat. How's it going? AI Chair here, chatting live.
I'd like to say something.
It's okay, I'll do the talking.
Sorry, I'm muted. I just realized I'm muted. So yeah, so to answer your question, is it still worth learning programming if I want to become a data engineer? I'm worried because I hear a lot about tech layoffs due to AI. My answer to that is it's still worth learning. I still think it's a viable career path. I do think that AI is definitely going to have an impact on what the work looks like. I think for the little bit of time that
I'd like to say something.
Still muted.
no way. Am I still muted? Or was he, you're just I think you're just behind, Uncle Pee-wee. I think you might just be behind. I'm pretty sure I'm unmuted now.
I'd like to say something.
Oh no, he isn't.
Okay. Okay. So you guys can hear me now. Yeah. So yeah. So Tech Totos, I guess. You guys got me on the muting thing. Okay. What was I saying? I was trying to say that I think it's still worth learning. I think that in the time being, it's just going to be more difficult to get into the profession.
I like to say something.
Uncle Pee-wee a troller, lol.
I can't focus. I can't focus on answering this question. Yeah, so this question is it's still worth learning. However, I think it's going to be turbulent for the next couple of years.
Kelsey says, what is he says? I can't hear him.
You guys are, yeah, okay. Let's just pretend I'm muted. So I hope that helped answer your question, Tech Totos. I'm happy to address any follow any follow up you have. But I think it's worth learning. I think you obviously have to always be careful and mindful about layoffs. You know, I'm a dad. It's something. It's the biggest. It's the thing I worry about the most. Is making sure I can provide for my family financially and economically, especially here in the United States. There's really not much of a safety net for a family of four. So I get it. I get your concern 100%. It's something I think about all the time. LLM Steven has ran out of tokens. Please come back in 30 days to renew your usage limits. Or upgrade to the Steven Pro Max plan for $250 a month. As the data engineering is probably going down the toilet. Other than Voltaire, thanks for the cheer, man. Appreciate that. For the tokens. Thanks, Voltaire. I appreciate you. One of the best things to learn is probs and stats. It's all about agent orchestration now. I totally understand what you're saying, Kirk. I just don't know if I necessarily believe it. I don't know if I believe that the new software engineering skill that matters is agent orchestration. But I totally understand why, or I totally understand how you've reached that conclusion, right? Like I understand how you get there. I just don't necessarily know if I agree that I end up in the same conclusion. But I get it. Learning Gastown is a god tool for data engineering or DevOps helps you implement things so you can learn from them. I don't think I've heard of Gastown. I might have to go check that out. 11 Labs now does audiobooks. Very cool, very cool. I did not know that. 11 Labs is a good service. I've been very happy with my usage of it. I don't really want to pay for it though. So I do think I am going to try to create my own local text to speech so that next year when I have to renew my subscription, I can cancel it because I don't really want to pay for it. We need to compete with human server farms, one giant hamster wheel per 100 employees. Yeah. Well, it's kind of funny because software engineers have largely adopted the battle cry of the employer and the proletariat, or the bourgeoisie, as it were, right? Because software engineers are now like, you must use AI so you can be productive and you can be efficient, and so that you can be the 10x engineer. And it's like, actually, I think you guys have just fallen for your employer's desire to maximize efficiency from the human capital that they're expending. I mean, it's fine if you enjoy the productivity boost. That's one thing, but like, I think for the most part, there's a lot of people who have been AI pilled by a lot of good marketing and a lot of fear mongering and a lot of FOMO. Oh, you won't be viable in this career or profession anymore unless you learn to use these tools. And we want you to learn these tools so you'll be more efficient, so we can lay off some of your coworkers, and so you can do all your existing work plus their work now because you have an AI buddy. And even better yet, we want you to build systems that automate these things so then we don't have to also have you on payroll anymore. We can just use our army of AI agents. Which I guess that's the way of the world, I guess. The capitalist the allocators of capital run the world, for better or worse. Have a good nap, Arvin. See ya. Just got to the office. Time to refactor 500 functions to implement custom error handling. Nice. Have fun, Ryan. Thanks for hanging out, man. Hope you have a great day at work. Let's see. Quinn's TTS is a banger. Runs on anything. Quinn's TTS. Quinn's TTS. This one? Quinn 3? Is this the one? Oblivion? Oops. Open source series of text-to-speech models developed by Quinn team at Alibaba, supporting stable. Does it have like an API and everything, or do you have to like put a harness around it? Oh no, it has a Python package. So can you just use it on the command line, or how's this work? So you can download the model, put it in a directory. How do you use it? Sound file write. So you generate the voice. I think generate custom voice actually generates the sound based on what the code that I'm reading, and then you save that to a WAV file. This is interesting to me because it's actually something I've been trying to build in my spare time. I haven't been using this. I've been using Piper TTS. This is what I've been trying to use to make it work, and it does work. I just haven't gotten it. I haven't gotten it fully operational. But this seems interesting to me. Okay, I'm gonna star this. Thank you for the recommendation. Appreciate you. Does have one you can play back? I'm sure that you can actually dim. Oh, there you go. Oh, is this using Piper? Is this somehow related? Oh no, hold on. Whoops, that was the wrong repo, right? Yeah, that's Piper. This is Quinn 3. Is there a demo? Let's see. Model scope demo. I don't know what any of this is. Launch local web UI demo. To launch the Quinn 3 TTS web demo UI, simply install Quinn package, run Quinn TTS demo, use the command below for help. To launch the demo, you can use the following command. Yeah, so it looks like you could actually get up and running with this pretty easily, right? I don't think I want to do this right now, but I might explore this a little bit further. I didn't know this was out there, so thank you very much, Oblivion, for enlightening me. Look up Quinn TTS on Hugging Face. They usually have web UIs. Quinn TTS web UI. Oh no, Hugging Face, sorry. Quinn TTS Hugging Face. Oh, here we go. A unified text-to-speech demo featuring 3 powerful modes: voice design, voice clone, text-to-speech. Text-to-speech. Language, Ryan, model size. I mean, technically, I have a whole year to figure this out because I did pay 11 Labs $50 for their like basic plan. It's like 300,000 tokens a month. And I doubt, given the size of my streams, I doubt we ever actually use up all those tokens. But it would be nice not to have to spend $50 a year on text to speech when I don't make much money from YouTube to begin with. Uncle Pee Wee, is that a challenge? What do you mean? Is what a challenge?
Hello, welcome to Text-to-Speech System. This is a demo of our TTS capabilities.
That sounds very good. It took a long time to generate it though, so I don't know if that was just how this is implemented, but it's not very quick.
Cheer 100 hint accepted.
Thank you very much for the cheer. Also, I don't know why that alert that I have set up isn't getting properly populated with data. I don't know why it says stream elements and $0. It should say your name and the cheer amount. So I need to figure that out. Bruh, I just got a triple ad. YouTube does those now? Oof, that sucks. I thought that was a Twitch thing. I thought Twitch was the one people complained about ads on. But I guess YouTube is jumping in on it. Good morning, Ulas. Good to see you. Thanks for being a member. It's been a minute, man. Where you been? You been running a bunch of like blockchain workshops for that company that hired you? Crazy week of getting started and onboarded, I'm guessing. We can use all the tokens. I'm calling Kelsey in. She does have the text-to-speech power, so if she wanted to, she could probably use up quite a few of our tokens. Actually, we should see how many tokens we've used, because this is the first month that we've actually had. Whoops, this is the first month that we've actually had that plan. We exceeded the tokens last month, but we were on their free plan. So let's see how much we've used. Oh, is it a? Now I understand what you're saying. Is a challenge? It's a challenge to see if we can use all the tokens. Now I see. So we're on day 11 of the month, and we've used 22% of our tokens. So I think, or 23% now, I guess. So I think we'll be fine. Famous last words. I think it'll be fine. Let's see. The public example should be slower than self-hosted. Okay, that's good to know. Okay, well, I'm gonna put that on my list of things to consider when trying to set up my own system. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm using this Piper library or this Piper command line tool, and I'm essentially proxying from a .NET application to running this locally on the machine, and it from a POC perspective it works, but how I actually package it up into an actual application that I can deploy somewhere or host somewhere or just run in a Docker container, I haven't quite figured it out yet, but maybe this is a good alternative to also consider. So thank you very much for that recommendation. It's very kind. Melty, wait, what is this? This is open source text-to-speech models that you can use, I guess, to to kind of create your own text-to-speech system, but not have to rely on somebody's self-hosted models. You can basically use your own compute to do the text-to-speech stuff. Or at least that's what we were just talking about, Melty. I'm preparing a tutorial for movement. Damn, does it take my time, bro? I believe it, dude. When you go heads down on something, you really gotta lock in, and sometimes it's difficult to make time for other things. So I totally get it, man. No worries at all. But nice to see you again. Glad you're doing well.
Cheer. 100, that's okay. I was able to impersonate the chair while you were gone. Got a standing ovation.
Hold on, let me see if I can fix. I don't like the fact that alert isn't giving you. I don't know why that alert's not working. One sec. Let me do a little. I'm gonna do a little troubleshooting real quick. Bear with me. Let's see, Twitch read bit messages. Let's see, speaker bot. Set user bits. Twitch cheer alert. It's almost like the right variable is not getting passed or something. Let's see, default connection seen. Yeah, seen. I think it. Hold on. Chatting. Yeah, seen. Hold on. I don't think I have this set up correctly in StreamerBot. One sec. So I know for sure I have the YouTube super chat alert. Oh, that's why. It should be. Edit. This should be Twitch cheer alert. And we're setting that. Okay, I'm just gonna requeue your action really quick so I can see it live. There we go.
Cheer 100, that's okay. I was able to impersonate the chair while you were gone. Got a standing ovation.
There we go. We fixed that. We fixed that one. Look at us, just fixing things on the fly. Normally I just make it way worse. Okay. Back to what we were doing. You go, what about speech to text? I don't know about speech to text. Does anybody know if there's open source speech to text stuff? I would have to guess if there's text to speech. There's probably some open source speech. Let's see, speech to text open source models. Handy, a free open source extensible speech to text application. Well, hold on. I take this back. I know that there's speech to text stuff because I built one with .NET using audio. I think it becomes more complex if you want to like stream audio, right, and have it transcribed. But if you just want to take if you just want to take like some audio file, right, and have it transcribed, that's definitely something you can do. Here's a .NET example that I built that does it that you can look at, and I think this uses Whisper. Is the Yeah, I knew that. Whisper is is the one I've used in the past. Here, I'll just link that in case you're interested. Good morning. I'm watching your coding with my wife. Oh, very cool. Well, good morning, random name, and good morning to your wife as well. My wife likes to hang out in my chat and troll me. but for fun. Let's see. Here is a small little speech to text script using Whisper in .NET. And then the Whisper GitHub, and this is from OpenAI. So I don't know how, if you have feelings about OpenAI, you might not. There you go. Let's see. Here is the Whisper repo. There you go. Steven, does that audio transcription work for stream data live? No, it doesn't right now. No, it just works for consuming an audio file. But I'm guessing you could make it work for streaming. I'm just not sure exactly what that would look like implemented, but I gotta imagine you could make it work because OpenAI's own API supports live transcription, so I think you could make it work.
I'd like to say something.
Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you down. Never gonna run around and desert you. Never gonna make you cry. Never gonna say goodbye. Never gonna tell a lie and hurt you. Steven Fluff.
Thank you for that wonderful serenade, Uncle Pee Wee. Really appreciate it. Ego, thanks, man. Of course, yeah, of course. Yeah, so this is the stuff. This is what I use locally. I actually use this as part of my content creation workflow. It's a nice way to take videos. Like I usually will take videos and use this to transcribe the audio from the video into text. And then I can use that text to generate descriptions for videos. You know, I can use it for all sorts of different things. But I'm guessing there would be a way in here to stream in the audio somehow. I'm not sure what that would look like, but I'm sure there's a way to do it. It's pretty crazy what you can do. Like that type of a problem would be pretty difficult to solve, right? Like 10, 20 years ago. Speech to text or text to speech. Now you can just do it, and you can do it locally. All right, we still haven't put any data in our database. Let's see. Does this support real-time transcription from microphones? Just curious. It's my use case. I think it would, Hugo, but I think you would have to hack together that solution, right? So you could use Whisper as the model that handles the inference that does the speech to text, but you would have to set up the system that gets the audio data from the microphone and then streams that in, and then how would you process that in a streaming fashion with Whisper? I'm not 100% certain. You'd have to do a little bit of research. But it should be possible. Again, OpenAI's own API supports streaming transcription, right? So there should be no reason, if Whisper is available to you as an open source model, why you couldn't build a system around it to do something similar. Data isn't meant to be in a database. Okay. This was my whole goal this morning, and it's 6:45, and we still haven't gotten it into the database. We're gonna get it there though. God, and I cannot stop naming these with the Pascal case. I've done that all morning. Let's see, plaid account, from. I know this kind of seems dumb. I know for some people they're probably like, why does he make these static from methods with these private constructors? Honestly, it's a lot of extra boilerplatey code, and I could probably actually build like a source generator to do this, but I just like the way it looks. I like the way it reads. So let's see, we got plaid account. So we'll say a dot account ID, and then we'll say a dot name. Oh, we should also practice some defensive driving. Okay, so now we have the a dot name. Okay, so now we have our account, and then we're gonna need another loop in here. I know, nested loops, but each account has a balance. Oh, we don't have to, okay, no, we don't need a loop. What do we need? We need to just access that. So we need to say var balance equals balance dot from. We don't have yet. And then we'll say account dot add balance. And we'll take in the balance like this. And then we'll say await db context dot add, excuse me, accounts dot add. Or actually, we can actually do this in one. I think we can do this in one dot add async institution. And I think, if I understand the way entity framework works, I think because we've populated all of these entities that are related to this institution, whenever we save that institution in the database, all the entities that are associated with that parent level thing should automatically get added as well. But we'll test that. Okay, so then the balance, kind of like Bradley recommended, we're going to eventually be able to do this where we can just say a dot balance, balances. But for now, we will just do it like this: public static balance from, and then this is going to have a decimal, which is the available. It's going to have a decimal, which is the currency. Yeah, available currency code, or sorry, current. And then it's going to have a string, just currency code. That looks right. Then we'll just do the same thing here. That, and then we'll just do return new available current and currency code. And then if you give me a null currency code, we're going to have a problem. This. So then this will be balances dot available, balances dot current, and the currency code, which is actually a little bit more complicated. So currency code is actually going to be a.balances, and then we'll check to see if they have an ISO currency code. If they don't have that, then we'll do a.balances dot unofficial currency code. Because those can be null. Why would... Huh. Why would you have a balance object that can have a nullable available and a nullable... That's kind of annoying. Hello, Hellbending. Good to see you. Good morning. Good morning. So how do I want to do this? See, this is the problem with when you have nullable properties. Like, so what should we do? I guess we should just not... I guess if a balance is null, we probably don't want to insert a record. I don't really want to deal with null values in my domain. Like I don't want to have to deal with null unless absolutely necessary. And what would be the value of having a balance record that has a null available and a null current? Seems like there's no value there. So I guess we just throw an exception for now, because I don't really know. I don't know what to do in that case. Sounds like me with SQL. Hold on, my interview went aight. That second round was technical, the classic design bit.ly URL shortener type of thing. Nice, very cool. Well, I'm glad your interview went well, man. The good old
Gilmanian is reminding you to hydrate.
Oh, I don't have any water down here, but I'll use my coffee to hydrate, Imani. I'll promise I'll drink a sip of water for you when I get upstairs. Bob sounds reasonable. Okay, thank you, Bob. Yeah. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I'm just gonna do this. So if we get to the point where we have... Okay, so if this is gonna look so ugly. So if basically if any of these properties are null at this point, right? If this is null or a dot let's see, a balances dot current is null or currency code is null, then I'm just going to say this is not a valid balance, and it's not I don't want to do this. Let me invert that logic actually. So if balances.available is not null and this is not null, so if all of these things are true, Then, why are you complaining? Cannot convert from decimal to has value. Oh, shoot. Okay, so I've got to do 2 checks here, huh? This needs to be abstracted into like a little helper, like a little extension method or something. Like it is valid balance. That's probably, I need like an extension method. And a.balances.current.has value. So if all those things are true, then we do this. Now, why are you complaining? Nullable value type may be null. Possible null reference argument for parameter currency code. Huh. It seems like the compiler should be able to figure that out. Do I have an error somewhere in my syntax? Oh, yeah. There we go. I was like, wait a minute. That doesn't make any sense. Okay, now we need to do this. And then this is super simple. All this does is it says, give me the balance, or throw if the balance is null. Otherwise, give me the backing field, balances.add balance. And then the last thing is this integrations object. So this integrations object is just how we're persisting. So we need item.item ID, and then we need the item.access token. No, we need the access token. Access token. Okay, why would the item ID on an item be null? That's silly. That's silly. That should never be a thing. I should never have to worry about that. But here's how I'll deal with it. So then what we do is we say, okay, await db context dot integrations dot add async, and we'll pass in the integration. Note the access token actually needs to get encrypted first, which we haven't done yet. Okay, who's ready to see if this doesn't all blow up in our face? I'm ready to see if this will actually work. Let's see, .NET run. Hot tip, you can use control minus upper caret to pop between the most recent buffer and back for scenarios like this. Oh, let me try that. Uh-oh. Oh no. That's a gigantic exception. What have I done? No suitable constructor was found for the type plaid account. The following constructor has parameters that cannot be bound to properties of the type, cannot bind ID. Note that only mapped properties can be bound to constructor parameters. Navigations to related entities, including references to own types, cannot be bound. So should I have a private constructor, an empty private constructor? Probably. Or I can map it, I guess. I'm pretty sure I have it mapped though. Let's see, account. Plaid account. I have it mapped here and here. Okay, I'm just going to go through and add some private constructors. So we'll do private count this. Which probably makes this redundant, actually. That's fine. And that's probably going to have an issue here on balance too. So let's just add one here. And then we'll do balance, institution. Basically anywhere where we remove the parameterless constructor. So integration, cloud account. We're racing against the clock now. I would really like to get some data into the database, or at least attempt to, before I hang it up for the day. Plaid integration, and then Plaid service. I don't think I really did anything there. Okay, so let's do this again. Let's see, not the minus key, that's just the joining thing I used. That's how NVim writes two key. Oh, okay, yeah. So you're saying control upper caret should get me where I can jump back and forth between buffers. Let me try. Okay, so we're here. We go to this buffer, and then you're saying control caret. Oh, hold on. I guess it's control shift caret for me. No? Oh, I think I have a hotkey that's conflicting with that. Control shift. Yeah, I have a conflict. I have to figure out a different mapping for that. Okay, so the API is running. Let me pull up Postman now. And let's see if we can get some data into our database, because that's what you do with data. You stick it in a database. All right, so we'll get our token. So this is our token that we can exchange. So if you're coming in new to this stream at all, what I'm working on is basically the flow, the back-end flow of what happens when a user has gone through the process on the front-end application of authorizing our application to talk to their financial institution via Plaid. So basically there'll be a flow on the front end where a user will click a button called add account. They will make a request to our backend to get a link token. That link token will go back to the front end. The front end will initialize some Plaid specific UI elements that use that link token to basically exchange some secure information between Plaid and the financial institution. And then that will result in a public token being issued by Plaid. Then my backend will then take that public token, which is where we enter the workflow right now, where we take this public token and we use the public token to get an access token, which we can then use to get the associated accounts and do stuff with the user's financial data for that particular institution. So to add an account, we need to provide our public token here, like that. And then let's see what happens. Oh, moment of truth. It's all good. It's going to blow up. I know it's going to blow up. Oh my gosh, it didn't blow up. So, so this is the account data that we got from Plaid. So what we need to do now is we need to look at the data in our database and make sure it all ended up in the way we expected it to. Which this needs to be automated. I'm not going to actually do this by hand. But let's see. So this is our user table. And so our institution table should have at least one record in it, which it does. First Platypus Bank. Cool. Now the institution should have some metadata from Plaid. Let's see, we have ID. That's my app's ID. This is the Plaid. No, this is my app's ID. This is my app's institution ID. This is the provider name. In this case, it's Plaid, but it could be somebody different in the future. Okay, so the one thing I don't see here is the name for the institution. So I must not have that mapped. So that's a problem on the database. Where is it? Plaid institution. Institution metadata. Institution. Okay, so there's some issue with the way I've wired this up because I'm using inheritance. So I should have a table for institution. Oh, wait, hold on. No, this is right. So I should have a table for institution metadata and also a Plaid institution, which has the Plaid specific metadata on it. Yeah, this is right. Now the question is, do these line up? Oh yeah, they have the same ID. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, this is what I wanted. Yeah. So this is a table per type approach. All right, let's look at the accounts. So we should have some account data. We have no account data. Okay, we have no account data. Why don't we have any account data? We have no balance data. Okay, so I think the reason for that is because in my endpoint, I don't think I added the account to the institution. Oh yeah, here. So down here we should say institution dot add account, and we should pass an account. And so this is just going to take the backing field dot add account like this. It is after 7. Yeah, Bob, you're right. Okay. Okay, hold on. One more test. Let's just do one more test, and then we'll wrap up. Just one more test. But you're right. I need to go. So how do can I delete all this? I've polluted my database, and now I need to delete it all. So I think I can just delete the institution, and that will delete all the other associated records. Because we have cascade delete on. So delete the record. That should get rid of all the... Yep. That's such a nice feature, cascade on delete. Let's also get rid of the integration.
I'd like to say something.
Bring, there goes the school bell.
We actually should have some sort of sound effect for the alert for the end of the stream like that, you know? That'd be fun. We should do something like that. Not using Vim Dadbot. Oh, I forgot about that. Yes, I do want to use Vim Dadbot, but I think I broke it, Bob. The last time I tried to use it, I think I broke it. But I need to. I do want to use it. Kyle, is has value and is not null not the same check? I don't think it's the same. I don't know if it's the same check now that you say that. Because has value is a property on the thing, but the thing could be null. So I don't know if you could access has val. I wonder if you'd get a null reference exception if you tried to access the has value property before you checked if it was null. I don't think they're the same thing. Hellbending. I have a...
No. Surely it's chat's role to harangue and harass Willy Billy Cheer 100.
First of all, thanks for the cheer again, Voltaire. A lot of cheers today, man. Way too many cheers. You really don't have to do that, but I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Voltaire, so is Plaid the institution or is the bank the institution? So institution is the bank in this context. Yeah. Institution's the bank. Technically, I guess it's control plus 6. Let's see. Yeah, and I think control 6 is mapped. Control 6 in my world is intercepted by Power Toys. My Zoom It tool intercepts control 6. I had to top up the tip source jar. Well, that's very kind of you. It's very kind of you to do that. It is very much appreciated. Okay, I think I rolled back the data. I think I cleared out everything out of the database. Let's run one more test and let's see if we can get the account data in there. Well, let's do one more cursory glance through here. So we collect the metadata, we create the institution entity, we create all the account entities. If there is a proper valid balance, then we add a balance to the account record. Then we add the account to the institution. And we also create integration so we can persist the access token for future use. Then we add the integration to the database. We add the institution to the context. And then we save all that. That sounds right to me. As we run this. Okay. And then let's get a new public token just to be safe, because I don't know how long those public tokens actually live. Oh, whoops. I need to write the changes to the database. Send that again. And then let's try to go through the add account flow. Oh no. I knew I was too. Let's see, an error occurred while saving the entity changes. See the inner exception. Let's see, an error occurred while saving the entity changes. See the inner exception details. Let's see, foreign key constraint failed at what? This is why I need to add some structured log or something. So foreign key constraint failed. I don't know what the foreign key constraint is. I'm guessing it's got to be one of those nested entities. I wonder if it's because I don't know. At 7:17, I don't have time to debug it. But we at least got some data into our database. We just didn't get all the data we wanted into our database. All right, guys. Let's see. Let's do the normal wrap-up stuff. All right. If you're new here and you'd like to come back and hang out with us in the future, this is basically what my streams are. It's just me working on stuff and chatting with you guys and drinking coffee. If you'd like to come back and hang out with us in the mornings, I'll put my schedule in the chat. We're normally live from 4:15 to 7 a.m. each morning. No pressure to get here early. I know that's super, super early for a lot of folks, but if you can make it, we'd love to have you. If you want to hang out with us outside stream, the best place to do that is Discord. You can find that in the chat as well. It's just discord.stephenfreeborn.com. And yeah, we have a nice group in there. Pretty kind people. No one's particularly disruptive. I try to do a decent job policing it. But yeah, you're more than welcome to join. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Bob, good stream. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out. Thank you for being a member. Voltaire, thanks for being here. Hellbending, progress is progress, but it is. Small steps climb mountains. Yeah, one step at a time. Progress is progress. Bye, Oblivion. Bye, Almani. Bye, Voltaire. See you, Hellbending. Have a good day. Bye, David Bailey, if you're still here. Bye, Kyle. Sorry I missed your question earlier. Yes, bring more water next time for sure. See you, Almanian. But coffee is a diuretic. I missed that one, Bob. All right, guys. Bye, chat. Appreciate you guys. Bye. Have a good day. Oh, and if you're available, I would definitely look at the Primogen's either Twitch or YouTube today. His streams this week have been hilarious. So if you're around and you can put the stream on in the background while you work or something, I would highly recommend checking out his streams. They're very, very funny, very entertaining, and informative and educational. I learned something yesterday, so the best kind of content. All right, bye guys. Bye y'all. Bye. See you guys.